A little embarrassing for people who haven't heard it. Everybody here has heard it.
Don't we have a podium?
Yes, I should have a podium. I should have a podium.
Ron has a PowerPoint presentation this year.
That's right. In lieu of a story, I'm going to do a little presentation on the economics of law practice, and I think you'll all find interesting.
Very short.
Yes, that's right.
There are no economics.
Yes, there are. Well, yes, everybody knows the basis of this, right? Nobody's new.
I do know.
Well,
No, I heard last year, so I was good.
the idea, and these are stories. They take place in kind of a parallel universe, sort of a fantasy world. So it's nothing to be taken literally, although it has, obviously, as everybody who's heard it before knows, has lessons for our everyday life. But the story is that at Hanukkah time, the Hanukkah Weasel slips in through, because most Jewish children didn't grow up in houses with chimneys, the Hanukkah Weasel slips in through cracks in the foundation and brings gifts to the children. And I don't think I've ever told you the story about how the Hanukkah Weasel saved Christmas. Did I ever? I don't think so. There was one year, this was many years ago, in, say, in a faraway universe. Hard times had come to the North Pole. Rudolph was running the finances as the chief financial officer. And of course, the reason he had a very shiny nose was because he drank a bit. He had, since he stopped leading the sleigh, he'd moved to West Palm for the winter because it was awfully cold in the North Pole, where he'd run into a very friendly elf named Bernie who had convinced him to invest all of Santa's assets in some surefire assets that Bernie had for sale. And so when it came time to pay the elves, make the elves' payroll that Christmas time, there was no money to be had. Well, of course, the elves weren't going to work for nothing, and coincidentally, there was a NBA strike at that same time, and there was a huge mania for little people basketball. So the elves just took off from the North Pole and joined the little people basketball league, which left Santa in a horrible quandary because he had no workers and no money and no way to have toys for Christmas. Well, the Weasel, Hanukkah Weasel, as you remember, he winters in West Palm too, although he had nothing, he never liked that elf Bernie, and had himself had a diversified portfolio that wasn't suffering. But he heard about Santa's troubles and was very concerned because at that time, the only way the elf had access to toys was he would wait for just excess stuff to fall off of Santa's sleigh, and then he'd grab them and take them to the Jewish children. That was the only way he had to get the toys. And it was convenient because when Rudolph particularly was leading the sleigh, it tended to waddle a bit. And so he would just follow the sleigh, pick up the toys, and take them to the children. Well, it occurred to him that if Santa didn't have any toys, then that meant he wouldn't be able to get any toys either. So he put his mind to work thinking, what am I to do? Well, he thought, and he went over that portfolio of diversified assets he had, and he realized that among them, he owned a majority interest in the Feng Shui Heavy Industries Limited factory in China. Feng Shui, it split its business between making radar components for the Chinese military and making imitation iPods and iPads. So, if you remember, the Weasel has the ability to transport himself wherever he wants instantaneously. So he zipped over to China to talk to the foreman and explain the situation, and the foreman said, well, of course, we don't have Christmas here, so we don't make toys. We do have a holiday this time of year, which we call inflating the renminbi, but that's a whole different issue. He said, but we don't make toys, but there's no reason why we couldn't make toys in our factory. We can make anything in our factory. We make iPads, for God's sake. But he said, the problem is that all the workers are very busy this time of year, and because we actually, I've got everybody in the factory working on the pirating of Pirates of the Caribbean 12. Jack Sparrow's fallen and he can't get up. Well, the Weasel thought, I haven't seen that. I'm going to have to pick up a copy of that. But then the laser-like focus returned. He said, no, forget about that. We're going to have to find you some workers, and then we'll bring them here to the factory, and they'll make the toys for Santa. So he thought, where am I going to get workers? Well, I thought elves, little tiny workers. I know, I'll get hobbits. So off he went to Middle Earth to collect some hobbits. Well, he got himself as many hobbits as he could find and brought them back to China, to the Feng Shui Heavy Industries factory to start to work in toys, but it wasn't enough. So they said, we need more workers. There are not enough hobbits here. Well, he thinks, what else can I do? I'm Munchkins. So zip, he's off to Oz to talk to the Munchkins. Well, he talks to the Munchkins, talks a few of them into coming as well. So now he's got Munchkins and hobbits working in the factory, working on the toys. Still not enough. So he's thinking, where am I going to get more work? More little people, leprechauns. So he's off to Ireland. Well, he runs in, of course, to the head of the leprechauns union, Blarney Obama. Said, I'm happy to let you have some leprechauns, but we'll have to negotiate for a year or two. But of course, the Weasel is very persuasive. So he finally talks him into bringing his leprechauns too. So he brings the leprechauns over. So now they have the factory going with a group of hobbits and a group of leprechauns and a group of munchkins, all busily making toys, bang, 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 bang. And magically, of course, the toys appear. Santa shows up. The toys are put in a sleigh. Rudolph, of course, has been fired from his financial position and put back in front of the sleigh. So they take off and they deliver all the toys to all the children. Well, Rudolph says to Santa, you're going to have to drop a couple off the side of the sleigh so I can pick them up again, like usual. And Santa says, you've been so great about this, Hanukkah Weasel. I'm sorry, the Weasel says this. Hanukkah Weasel, you've been so great about this that instead of just making you pick up stuff that falls off the sleigh, I'll tell you what, we'll split the toys with you. So you have plenty of toys for all the Jewish children while I'm delivering the toys to my children too. So they shook hands on it, or they shook paws on it, I guess. And the Weasel got his supply of toys that he could take to his children, and Santa got his supply of toys that he could take to his children. And Christmas was saved. And so everybody was very happy, and that's why to this day, Jewish children get nice gifts just the same way that Gentile children do at the same time of year, all because of this arrangement. It's also, in case you're wondering, the reason why everything you bought this year says made in China.